Okay, well, a few minutes ago I just finished my Biesemeyer T-square fence knockoff to accept this aluminum extrusion that my good friend August, who has the site guidetowoodworking.com, he's a machinist and mad scientist inventor. He gave me a whole bunch of metal and this inspired me to make this. So I've always loved my Biesemeyer fence. I've had this on my general table saw for 17 years. And it just is a rock solid design that's just so elegant in its simplicity. So it was a lot of fun to copy and knock off such a beautiful, simple design. But one of the problems with this design is that it's hard to make this fence accept accessories onto it. So you clamp it or what have you. It's kind of difficult. But with these extrusions, with all these channels in it, only your imagination limits you to what you can attach to this. And so I designed this T-square fence. It comes on and off exactly like a Biesemeyer. It's pretty much the essentials of it in every way. A cam-operated lever is what locks it in place to this flapper. But now this extrusion is going to allow me to attach all kinds of accessories to it, and I'm even going to integrate this THK bearing rail and this guide into the top. But I probably won't do it on this one. I'm going to get, the beauty of this thing that I made is that it will accept any extrusion of this type. So this is actually just 1.5 inches, but they come in 2, 3, and 4 and different heights also. So all you have to do is release 4 screws on the bottom, slide it off, and then pop a new extrusion on the existing T-square that I'm going to show you how to make. And I don't think I have under $10 in making this. A lot of scrap from my shop, and this handle is actually a hitch pin from a trailer receiver. But the whole thing comes on and off. Just fantastic. I can't get over it. So all I have left to do now is just to wire brush this, clean it up, and then decide what color I'm going to paint it. I think it's either going to be black, green, or yellow, and I probably will go with the green because I like green machines. I just couldn't see making it white. And so let me show you some close-ups of some of the features that it has, and then I'll post the detailed series on how to make it, every aspect of making it. Okay, so when I designed this is very different than the way the Biesemeyer, their square tubing or their rectangular tubing attaches to their piece of angle iron. Here I had a situation where my fence was much narrower, and so I couldn't allow the T-square structure to interfere with the plane action of the fence. So what I had to do is I had to make it in a stacked manner. So see, I couldn't allow any of this to interfere. That's why I have this 3/8 inch flat on the bottom and then another 1/4 inch welded to the top. So as you can see, nothing interferes. So it doesn't matter what I'm going to rip down this, even if I just wanted to use this just as the aluminum extrusion for the table saw. I didn't want any interference. Well, I wanted to show you that I did take really all the important elements from the Biesemeyer. I'm not claiming that I invented anything new here. I said, it was really a lot of fun to knock off such a incredibly beautiful and elegant design. So I did the same exact thing that they did, where I welded this piece of steel on here, where I made these little bends in. There's a set screw here that pushes this out. And of course I did the same cam action design that they did on pushing on a flapper that has a piece of plastic to protect the metal. And so I just had to make some modifications to accommodate this this extrusion, since they had this little platform that they welded to their piece of rectangular tubing. But what I did here is I priced these glides online, and by the time I bought all of them and paid shipping, it was almost $50, and I would have had to wait. So I just went ahead and made my own. I just took some of this ultra high density molecular weight plastic. I'm sure I'm not saying that right, but I always get that confused. And I just drilled down into the plastic with a regular wood 1/4-inch plug cutter, but I didn't drill all the way down. And then after I drilled my with the plug cutter, then I used the router to waste all the material around it, just freehand. And so I was able to make my own glides. It took me about 30 minutes to make these, and so it was pretty easy. And they seem to be lock in place here very, very well. And when I take this apart to wire brush it, I'm gonna chamfer these off and soften these edges. They're still pretty sharp, so I'm gonna round and soften these so they're not gonna grab on anything. But I just couldn't be any happier with the way this has turned out. So let me move the camera one more time, and I want to show you a couple features on the bottom to show you how easy the extrusion will separate from my T-square setup, to be able to just pop a different extrusion on with other accessories mounted to it. So you could have several of these extrusions with accessories already pre-mounted to it, and then just be able to use the same T-square and just pop it on, square it up. It takes about a minute to get this squared to the fence. It's really, really easy with the set between the set screws and being able to rack this slightly on the extrusion. It's really, really simple to get it dialed in just a matter of minutes. Here's the Biesemeyer's cam and flapper setup. And then here's the one that I came up with. You know, very similar, and I mean, it may look a little different, but the mechanics of it are virtually identical. You know what's happening here. So I'm just going to cut this off. I left it a little bit long, but I'll cut that off when I take this apart to sand it or wire brush it and then finish it. So what I want to show you now is I did make a couple small errors in this design, and I want to just go ahead and tell you what they are right now. You know, I used this here where that's connected like that down in the track, and what I should have done is use two separate ones, to where this was here and this was here, because I was drilling from the top, and it was late at night, and I'd been working on this for a while and just wasn't, you know, didn't see every eventuality of what I was doing. But I got this one too close to the front of this channel to countersink for the screw head, because it was too close to this. So I had to reach in here with my die grinder and just kind of hand shape a countersink. And then also this one was in the way of the weld, so I had to use a hole saw to drill down through this and then finish it off with the die grinder to make room. I didn't want to drill more holes. But so if you just kind of shifted this back and then, you know, here and here, it would just be better. But all you have to do to release the extrusion is just back off these 4 screws, and of course it'll just slide right out. And so you could pop a new one on, you know, in just a matter of minutes, and then just get it squared up. But it's a pretty cool thing all the way around. The Biesemeyer has glides on it to make sure that the steel is not going to rub and wear against the cast iron of your table saw. Well, I did a modification. I did a slight modification to make it work for mine, where I just took a piece of that high density plastic and milled it on my table saw till I created a T, then tapped and drilled down into a piece of 1/8 inch material that just fit just right into that track, and then just captured it like that. So I can move this. I've got it, you know, I've got it just kind of a friction fit on here, but that rides nicely back and forth. And again, I need to chamfer this off and soften that so it doesn't get hung up on any sharp edges like going across this track here. Here, one more thing I just wanted to show you. So I've got these loosened up, so this is how easy it separates from the extrusion. You know, just something that simple. Pretty darn easy. It's probably the last good look you're going to be able to get at it without without paint all over it.